Greetings, folks. This is Book of Mormon Chiasmus. Today we'll be examining 2nd Nephi Chapter 25, verses 8 through 17. And as an introduction statement, I want to say that critics often overlook the sheer complexity of the Book of Mormon and try to dismiss it as a fabrication. But in studying the intricate poetic parallel patterns within the text, we discover a level of complexity that is far more sophisticated than most realize. The ancient Hebrew parallel poetry within the text, containing lengthy, extended alternate structures within inverted chiasmus symmetry, proves the record is far more sophisticated than most realize. So the question has to be asked, could a 23-year-old Joseph Smith really dictate a complex, inverted poetic masterpiece by accident, or is this the evidence needed to prove that he was a true prophet in modern times? So this is a fascinating chapter, and to get into it, this chiasmic section that we're going to look at is one structure in the midst of 6 total structures within the larger chapter in 2nd Nephi. The very first chiasmus, he is leaning on the prophecies of Isaiah and likening himself unto Isaiah, saying, I'm going to prophesy, and Isaiah prophesied, and the things that he prophesied are about the Messiah, and in the last days they will understand them. The second chiasmus is the one we're going to look at here. The third chiasmus deals with the Messiah being the one who was rejected by the Jews. The fourth chiasmus names him as Jesus Christ and compares him to the serpent that Moses lifted up in the wilderness. The fifth chiasmus talks about the words Nephi writes going forth from generation to generation, and he ties it back to the idea that the promises were made to Joseph of Egypt, that both his seed and the words of his seed would go forth from generation to generation. And then the last chiasmus is a beautifully structured one that talks about believing in Jesus Christ, that the law of Moses gets fulfilled in Christ, and there's only life and from there's no life in the law of Moses itself. It's all the life is in Christ, and that Nephi talks of Christ, rejoices in Christ, preaches of Christ, and prophesies of Christ. So overall, the chapter is very amazing. I've done some other videos on this channel about the other sections. You can also see the whole thing on my website at bookofmormonchiasmus.com. But here, let's take a look at this section. So I want to go, just for the sake of being able for you guys to be able to see it, I'm going to look at the center section of the chiasmus. So we're going to look from the C and C prime terms, D and D prime terms, E and E prime terms, and the center is F. And so I want to say that this is my my own work. I always start with Donald Perry's publication called Poetic Parallelisms in the Book of Mormon whenever I start looking for things. I did not find much in this chapter from him, so I just wanted to state that I'm going to look at one thing from it, but this is primarily my own work as I look through these chapters. And the way that I look through and try to find things is I load the whole chapter in a Microsoft Word, and then I start doing a search. Whenever I see terms repeated, I try to see where else those terms are found, and then I look for structures, and I definitely found them in this section. So on screen, we're going to look at the C and the C prime terms, and the thing that clued me off to say there's probably something here that I need to be looking for is the term manifest. In gray, it says, shall manifest himself unto them, and down below, after he's risen from the dead, he hath manifested himself unto his people. I highlighted those in gray, and this is the only place in this entire chapter that the words manifest show up. And so anytime that you see a double repetition of an idea, and it's the only 2 times you find it in the chapter, that's often a clue to say there's a larger form that's happening. The other thing that I noticed is the word hearts appears a total of 5 times. There are 4 of them in the section that we're going to look at today, and then 1 repetition of it at the end chiasmus that kind of directs you back to this one. And so the idea anciently of where your heart was in relationship to God and to the temple was highly important. And so just in looking at these structures, I felt like The word's heart was also an important piece to the discovery of this chiasmus structure. So, looking on at the sea, I'll read part of it. It says, "Behold, they shall have wars and rumors of wars." So that's parallel. They state that twice. "And when the day cometh that the only begotten of the Father, yea, even the Father of heaven and earth, shall manifest himself in the flesh, behold, they will reject him." So if you look at the bottom in the C prime term in verse 14, it says, "Behold, it shall come to pass that after the Messiah hath risen from the dead." So the Messiah points back to the yellow part up above, the only begotten Father, the Father of heaven and the earth, being Jesus Christ, hath risen from the dead, and hath manifest himself unto his people, unto as many as will believe on his name. Behold, and then we're going to get to the next section. So that's a strong match. You have the idea that this connects to God and that he manifests himself to his people. That is why I believe these are the C terms. Now, the D terms, Donald Perry did point out this section, but he didn't do any sort of parallel to him. He said this after they reject him. He highlighted, and I'll put it on the screen. It says, "Behold, they will reject him." Actually, he did do that. Behold, they will reject him because of their iniquities and the hardness of their hearts and the stiffness of their necks. Behold, they will crucify him. So he calls that